Hi guys, today we're going to be starting onions from seeds. I've got two varieties, one red and one sweet, and I'm really excited to start these this year because this will be the first time that I'll be growing onions in the raised beds. So if you've never grown onions before, don't fear. They are a very tough, hardy plant, which makes them easy to grow. They can handle the cold, they can handle the heat. They just like a rich, fertile soil, well draining, and consistent moisture. There's three ways that you can start onions. The first is from seed, and that's what we're doing today. Now, the benefits of that are you get a wide variety of onions to choose from, and you know exactly what's been done to that onion from the moment that it's planted till the time that you consume it. You know exactly what type of soil, fertilizer, water, everything that has been done to that onion before you eat it has been done by you. And I kind of like that. I like knowing exactly what is in my food. So that's what we're going to be doing today. The second way is by starts. And what that means is that somebody else has taken that onion and started it from seed up until the point where it's ready to be sold to the nursery, purchased by you, and transplanted into the ground. Now, the benefits of that are that someone else has done all of the initial work for you. The downside is that you're limited in variety because it all depends on what the growers decided to grow that year, and you don't know exactly what's been done to that seed from the moment it was planted up until you purchased it. And the third way is by sets or bulbs. And the benefit of that is they store a lot better. Because onions are biennial, the bulbs or sets that you purchase, those are the second year of the plant. And the second year of the plant is more focused on flowering and setting seed as opposed to growing a bigger bulb. So you end up with a smaller bulb, but it lasts a lot longer when you're storing it. And so there's, pros and cons to all three varieties. One thing I want to mention before we start planting is that onions fall into one of three categories, and it's all dependent on the number of hours of sunlight needed to trigger the onion plant into forming its bulb. So we have long day, intermediate, and short day. Long day onions are typically grown in the northern part of the country, zones 5 or lower, and they require 14 to 16 hours of sunlight in order to get that plant to produce its bulb. Whereas intermediate onions are grown in zones 5 through 7, and they require 12 to 14 hours of direct sunlight to start the bulbing process. And short day onions are grown in zones 7 through 11, more in the south, and they require 10 to 12 hours of sunlight in order to get there in order to trigger the plant into producing its bulb. If you're buying onions from your local nursery, most likely they will have the varieties that you need. If you're going to buy them online, just keep an eye out and make sure you're getting the correct variety for your zone. Okay, I've got my seed starting mix here, a 24 cell count tray. I'm going to plant 2 rows of each variety, 2 seeds per cell, and I'm going to plant them a 1/4 inch deep, cover them with more soil, top them off with some vermiculite to help with moisture retention, and water them all in, and we'll put our humidity dome on top and put them under the grow lights. I've also got a couple of labels ready to go, and these are the seeds that we're going to be planting today. And this is what the onion seeds look like. These are not pelletized. If they were, they would have a white coating around them. They would make them a little bit bigger and easier to handle. The only difference is that they don't last as long as unpelletized seed. Here we go. Okay, we've got our tags. Let me show you close up how I'm going to plant them. I'll plant a couple and then I'll finish up the whole tray. So again, here are the seeds. And I've got the soil pressed down lightly, 1/4 of an inch from the top of the tray. So I'm just going to sprinkle a couple seeds per cell. And then I will just come in with a little light layer of soil just to cover them up. You can barely see the seeds. And then once I get the whole tray done, I'll sprinkle vermiculite on top. Oh, crap. Forgot to cover them up. My goodness, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Very lightly, just covering them up before you put vermiculite on. Now comes vermiculite. We'll put them on top of our little tray, cover them up, and under the grow lights they go. And here is our tray of onions. This is where they will stay until they germinate, at which point I will take the humidity dome off. And I did actually go in and plant a little bit heavier. Some of the cells have like 3 or 4 seeds in there. So obviously I'm not going to need this many onion plants, so I will give a few of them away to some friends and neighbors. In about 6 to 8 weeks, they'll be ready to be transplanted out into the vegetable garden. If I had planted these a couple weeks earlier and let's say the weather wasn't favorable or I just wasn't ready for them, I could cut the top few inches off and leave about 4 inches of new growth and the plants would be just fine, and that would give me a little extra time just to make sure everything was ready to go, and then I could transplant them. And both of these onions take about 100 to 110 days from the day that I transplant them until they're ready to harvest. So we should be getting both sets of onions harvested at the same time. So hopefully we'll have a bountiful harvest, but we won't know until we harvest because everything is happening underground. And that's one of the fun things I think about growing onions, kind of like garlic. You never know what you're going to get until you pull them up. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.